Welcome back for another edition of our behavior chats. We're super excited today because this is our very first Q&A. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the questions. We actually have a lot of questions, and I actually don't know how long it's going to take to answer all of these questions. So we're going to start off with our very first question. And I guess the very first question is really about brushing teeth. I guess the trouble that these parents are having is that the child always attempts to spit out the toothpaste foam or wipe it off on their sleeves whenever they're brushing their teeth. I guess and this is something that was kind of left to our interpretation because we weren't quite sure exactly what it means. So we assumed that the child couldn't brush it more than 2 times. So they brush it once, twice, and on the 3rd time, they would always spit it out. That requires then parents have to help the child instead of the child being able to do it all by themselves. Question then is like, oh, how do I keep my child from spitting out or wiping the toothpaste foam when they're brushing their teeth? This is part of the difficulty in terms of answering questions because I don't know what the child's skill set is. You know, I don't know how much language they can handle. I don't know what reinforcers they like or they don't like. So it ends up being questions that I'm going to have to make some assumptions about and based on those assumptions, give you as best of recommendations as I can based on those assumptions. So I'm going to assume this, which is that, oh, when you're in front of the child but not helping them, that's when they spit it out. However, if you're doing the brushing the teeth for the child, that's when they're okay keeping the foam in their mouth. One other thing I don't quite know is generally how you're having the child brush their teeth. So I have to then kind of tell you kind of how we teach our kids to brush their teeth. For us, we go section by section, and then we have the child brush that section a certain number of times, you know. So I think most of our parents that we work with, you know, they'll go with one side and they'll have the child do it to the count of 10. Then they switch position. Then they do another count of 10, and then they switch position. They do for another count of 10, and they go from one area of the mouth to another area to a mouth, and it's very, very systematic in that way. As the child demonstrates that they can do things more and more independently is when we stop helping them. So when we help them, we're actually having their hands over the toothbrush, and then our hands are over their hands, and we're helping them and we're counting each section that they're doing it. And as they get more and more independent, then we fade out the physical assistance that we're giving them and having them be able to complete the brushing on their own as we still count. We teach them there are specific time frames when they can spit out the foam. So we prompt it, and then when we decide, okay, this is when they can spit out some of the foam, that's when we allow them to spit out the foam. In this case, since we believe that that's what's happening, is like, oh, he's brushing twice and then spitting out, what parents will want to do is go through a backwards chaining process. What a backwards chaining process is that you get the child independent with the last step in a process. And when they get independent with that, then you take one step back. And so they have to be independent with 2 steps. And then you take another step back, and they have to do it independently for 3 steps of that process. In this process, then you keep on going backwards and gaining independence until they can do the entire sequence all by themselves. Assuming that we read it correctly, that the child brushes only 2 times before he tries to spit out. For us, under our method of teaching, what we would do is, assuming that we're doing it at a count of 10, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? And then have him complete the rest by himself. And it's only when he completes the 10 that he's allowed to spit out. and you get him to be good about doing that. And once he's good at doing that, then you release, you let up at one step earlier. Another method you can use would be to punish the behavior. And how you would punish the behavior is like, oh, when the child's brushing their teeth and then they spit out when they shouldn't be spitting out, you tell them no. You put toothpaste back on the toothbrush and they have to restart that sequence again. Now, when I have them restart, I would probably only restart that specific section rather than the whole toothbrushing sequence, So, oh, we're working on this side and he spits out before he's supposed to spit out, then that's what I reset it to. Hopefully that helps. We made a lot of assumptions. So if we assume things wrong, let us know, and then we'll try to correct it in a future episode.